Over the last several years, we've heard very often from American students, from British students, even Australian students on what they think of India's relations with their country. But how often have we heard from young, bright Chinese minds on what they think of India? A short while before now, I went to the Communications University in Beijing, where I sat down with a bunch of Indian students who've come to China, also Chinese students who are studying about India, to talk to them about what they thought of two of Asia's most important countries. Fascinating, enlightening perspectives, for me at least. Sit back and watch the headlines today, India-China Youth Dialogue. We are currently at the Communications University in Beijing, and joining us are a bunch of Chinese and Indian students. Thank you all so much for joining us at this cafe, and it's great to have all of you with us. Thank you. Now I want to begin by asking our Chinese friends, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says India?
In my opinion, I'd say population, because China and India both have a large population. Is my first impression, to be honest.
What's your first impression? When someone says India, what's the one thing that comes to your mind?
Probably the Indian food, like curry, right? Nice.
You like Indian food?
Yes, I do. I like it very much. I think it's delicious.
Okay, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Prime Minister Modi.
Prime Minister Modi comes to your mind. What's your name? What do you study, and why does Modi come to you?
My name is Hu Chao. I study major in English, and because currently, as far as I know, he opened the Weibo in China, and I think the front page of his picture is really handsome.
Do you think he's handsome? Ah, that's interesting, because he's kind of old for you, no?
I just think he's handsome. It's a front page.
Prime Minister came on Weibo just last week. Are you following him?
Yeah.
Is he doing well on Weibo, or is he not doing too well?
It's pretty good, because he has shared some his thoughts on his visit here, and he also shared some Buddhism in India, and as we all know, that Buddhism is a kind of connection that's linked India and China.
So why don't I ask you, what is it that you study here in Beijing?
I'm studying Chinese language here.
Why do you choose to come to China to study and not go to one of the usual suspects?
I think studying Chinese is the best thing right now, because China is booming right now. The first thing that comes to my mind is trade. A lot of countries are depending on China right now. It's the manufacturing organization here. And studying Chinese, not a lot of Chinese people speak English. And I think we need to learn Chinese to connect with them.
And you've been learning Chinese for how long? You've been learning Mandarin for how long?
It's been 8 months. But I plan to stay here and study.
So I see both of you don't want to go back. You're staying here, want to stay back. What about you? What made you feel that you wanted to come here and be in Beijing?
I've been here for 4 years. I'm majoring in economics and world trade in Mandarin language, graduating next month. And being from India and associating myself with China, two countries about to be running to be superpowers, I think it's going to be good for my future, personally.
You've had a good time studying, because, when Indian students go to, say, in Australia or the UK or the US, they understand the culture because they've seen so many Hollywood movies and serials. They also understand the language. How much of a problem was it for you?
It's been tough, but I've been positive throughout, and I speak Chinese fluently now, so I'm really happy with that. And however tough it's been, I've gone through it, and I'm really happy now.
Not just do we have over here Indian students who are learning Mandarin, we've also got Chinese students who are learning Hindi. How many of you are learning Hindi? Can you put your hands up, please? So there's 1, there's 2 and there's 2.5. That's just a very gentle way of putting. Well, you're learning Hindi. What's your name? Namaste.
Namaste. आपसे मिलकर बहुत खुशी हुई.
अरे वाह, आपसे मिलके भी बहुत खुशी हुई. How long have you been learning Hindi?
Just half a year.
You've just started out. Yeah. Why, of all the languages that you could have chosen to learn, why did you pick Hindi?
Actually, by chance, but I like Hindi. I like India's culture, but I like language, but not choose the Hindi just by chance.
You chose Hindi by chance. What about you? Of all the languages that you could have been learning, why do you pick Hindi?
Because I very like Indian. I think Indian is an interesting country because he has a long history and the food in the Indian is very delicious. So I want to study Hindi to understand India more.
कितनी हिंदी सीख पाई हैं आप? अच्छे से बोलती हैं कि थोड़ी थोड़ी?
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम लो यिंगथिंग है.
Very nice, that's fabulous, and I'm very happy with the fact that you're learning Hindi, and I hope that you make a success of it. Why did you pick Hindi? What's your name?
You can call me Richard or Mohan.
Mohan. Why do you pick Mohan? Fancy.
Actually, it's my teacher gave me this name.
Okay, so why did you decide you wanted to learn Hindi?
Actually, it's also by chance. Because I love language, so I chose a special language. But when I studied Hindi, I found it's interesting. And besides the language, I can also learn more about the history of India and its culture and its everything about it. I love it.
People in China think of India as a friend, as competition, or is the focus more on the conflict?
I'm really not sure about it, but I think it's a complicated relationship, all right.
Okay, so how many of you know that there's a border dispute between India and China? So you know about it. Do you know that there's a boundary problem? Yeah. You know about that as well?
I think India and China is friend, and because for one thing, geographically we are neighbors, and I think there's some kind of saying in China that neighbors should be friendly to each other, and also India is a country that is also developing just like China nowadays. So I think the two countries can work together and cooperate together, and then two countries can also grow together.
You think so? Because there's a Chinese proverb which says that there can only be one superpower in Asia. Do you think it's possible for both India and China to coexist? Let me ask the Indian students. Or do you think competition and conflict is inherent to this relationship?
No, I don't think it's inherent. I think it's the 1961 war where they took the Xichen region. But I think they have been brothers, like Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. But I don't think it's like it has a long history, and I think it can be solved. It's just the border issue. They say they share the culture that is so strong: Chinese culture, Indian food, Chinese food. They both share something that is very strong and very famous all over the world, and they can go together. And they showed us superpowers, but without, I think, jealousy and. This border thing shouldn't be made huge.
What do you think of this question about China not having the kind of freedom that people in India do?
I don't know what freedom are you enjoying, but I think I can think that for
so for example, there are lots of restrictions on how you access the internet. YouTube, Gmail, Twitter, they're all blocked here where there's open, there's more dissent, there's...
It's the greatest firewall in the world, the greatest firewall in the world, the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So does that make a difference, the fact that you've got all these websites that... Do you feel... Okay, let me ask you this question this way. Do you feel that you're not completely free?
Yes, it is a problem, to be honest. And we are also furious about the blocking, but there is some very sophisticated issue that we are not able to access and we can't understand. But After all, I think I enjoy my country very much, and I enjoy the moderately freedom here.
This has been very, very fascinating to talk to all of you, bright young Indian and Chinese minds, to understand, what you think of our countries, their geography, their history, their politics, their present and their future. Thank you all so much for joining us on the India-China Youth Dialogue, and I wish all of you all the very best. And those who are learning Hindi, when we come back next time, we'll have a more detailed dialogue in Hindi, all right? Thank you.